Hello and welcome to another episode of Salary Voodoo, the show right here on the MMA Engine channel where I, your host Monk, aka the Monkmatician, break down 3 fights of your choosing to go over from a Salary Voodoo perspective. So guys, before we get into it, be sure to hit that like on the MMA Engine channel, hit the subscribe down below. It really helps us out. Me, Weezy, Brady, and Lou Betya, bringing you content several times a day, several days a week before each and every UFC card, helping you get those takedowns, win those wagers, winning those picks with your friends, and overall making that money. So guys, let's get into what is Salary Voodoo. Salary Voodoo offers stats that aim to give you fresh, unique angle when it comes to MMA DFS lineup construction, especially in GPP tournaments. I get stats from historically unusual places, such as salary histories, fight position, weight classes, etc. Very heavily probability based and probably very heavily over analyzed as well. All Salary Voodoo stats you see here are tracked since January 1st of 2021, and only natural salaries are used for these calculations, meaning salaries that match up: 9,500, 6,700, 8,200, 8,000, whatever it is, they add up to $16,200. That is the most natural salaries. They usually play each other unless there's some kind of fuckery happening, but those are what I call natural salaries. And lastly, guys, comment the fights that you want to see from UFC 279 next week. I believe it's the next card. I don't know if it's next week or 2 weeks, but comment down below the fights that you want to see me go over from a Salary Voodoo perspective next fight, which is UFC 279. I believe that's the Hamzat Nate Diaz fight. I think, could be wrong. I have had a week off and it's been a rough one. Not really. It's been a very relaxing week, but it's been rough in the way that I have no idea what's going on in the UFC. So guys, talk long enough. Let's get into the first fight of the night on Salary Voodoo. We have Charles Jourdain going against Nathaniel Wood. This one is picked by Peter Dowd. Thank you so much, Peter. And as you can see, guys, there is a much different look to Salary Voodoo. I don't just hang around on the beach all weekend. I know from my exquisite tan that you would think that I hang out on the beach all weekend, but I do not. I've been doing work revamping the Salary Voodoo. You might notice some extra stats on there. Let's go over them. And these stats actually are somehow even more accurate than they were before, especially since I'm using only natural salaries now. Anyways, 8,400. Actually, we'll start with the weight class. Featherweight fight between Wood and Jourdain. Featherweights make optimal at a 54.35 rate. 54.35% of the time a featherweight fight happens, someone makes optimal. Fight number 7, as this currently is slated to be, someone from that fight makes optimal only 38.89%. That is one of the lowest numbers on the entire card as far as fight numbers go. The salary pair, meaning when 84 and 78 are paired together and fighting each other, someone from this fight makes it at an incredible 56.92%. And we have 6% leverage on these fight, guys. You want to see negative numbers. I'm going to be talking about leverage in these videos now. You want to see negative numbers in leverage. That means people are underplaying them. That means the salary pair makes optimal 56% of the time, and yet people are only rostering them about 50% of the time, 51%. So there is 6% leverage on the $8,400, $7,800 fight. So play this fight. Average ownership for Charles Jourdain's $8,400 salary is 27.04%. The leverage here is bad. We are over leverage on $8,400 by 4%. It only makes optimal 23% of the time, and we are rostering at 27%. So positive leverage is bad. We do not want positive leverage. We are overplaying Charles Jourdain. The stance. Switch stance fighter versus orthodox. Switch versus orthodox. The switch wins 47.52% of the time. And the finish win percent for 8,400 is 21.5%. Decision win percent is 24.6%. So under 47% for a win percentage for 8,400. Not a great look. Meanwhile, 7,800 orthodox stance for Wood. That wins over switch stance fighters 51.49% of the time. Finish win percent for 7,800 is 18.5. Decision win percent is 30.7. So a ton of decision wins for $7,800 fighters. Average ownership for that salary is 23.9, and just the opposite of the 8,400, we are under leveraged by 10% on the $7,800 salary, guys. 10% under owned. You got to get 7,800 in your lineup, and I think especially this week, as I do expect this fight to be a banger. Let's get into the individual stats. $8,400 has been used 65 times. Both these salaries actually 65 times since January 1st of 2021. 8,400 has made optimal 15 times for a 23% optimal rate. Again, 23% optimal, 27% ownership. We're over leveraging 4% on the $8,800 or $8,400 salary. Has a win rate of just 46.15% as a favorite salary. 46%, that is terrible, and is only optimal in 50% of its wins. Average DraftKings points per win is 92.59. Guys, all these numbers are red, meaning they are not as good as the other side, which we will get into now. $7,800 has also been used 65 times. Obviously, these numbers will be the same with these natural salaries. Has made optimal 7 more times, 22 times out of 65 for an overall optimal rate of 33.85%. Guys, if this number is over 25, you're looking good. If it's over 30, you're looking great. And we are at 33.85. That is why we are 10% under owned. We have negative 10% leverage here. The average ownership for this salary is just 24. He makes optimal at 34%. Get 7,800 in here. I hope I'm explaining this properly. If not, leave a comment and tell me that I'm not explaining it properly. But you want a negative leverage here. That means that means they are under owned. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Win percent, it does to me, but it's because I'm the creator of all this nonsense. So why wouldn't it? 50.77% win rate compared to 46%. Fantastic, especially from a dog salary. And when it does win, guys, it makes the optimal 2 out of 3 wins. That is a fantastic number, scoring almost 95 points per win. Guys, the $7,800 salary is fantastic. We got great featherweight juju. We got great salary pair voodoo as well. What is this one going to be? Blessed fight, cursed fight. What do we got? For Peter Dowd, we've got a Bernie, baby. And if you see Bernie, we got that good voodoo. That means I think someone is going to make the optimal lineup from this fight. That means I will be targeting this fight more than usual. And at the negative salary pair leverage that we have of about 4%, that is looking extra good for me. Salary scores for 8,400, 8.5, the 15th best overall out of 30. So right in the middle. 7,800, 6th best salary score overall, 6.42 salary score rating. That is for a dog salary, fantastic. I will be over on $7,800 this week and on this fight as a whole. Thank you, Bernie. Second fight. We'll try to go a little faster. Hopefully I won't be explaining everything as much. I just want it to make sense to everybody because it is a bit crazy. This one is picked by taking your top knot. Thank you so much for contributing again, Top Knot. $8,800, Robert Whittaker. $7,400, Marvin Vettori. This is a middleweight fight. Someone from middleweight makes optimal 49.51%. Not what you want to see. You want these numbers to be over 50%. Fight number 11 makes the optimal 55.17% of the time, a fantastic number. And the co-main event of the evening, I also am tracking those, makes optimal 58.33% of the time. Someone from the co-main event makes optimal. So put those together and you've got a fantastic probability there. The salary pair, on the other hand, is very poor. 88 and 74 when put together, they only make the optimal 37 point, and only one of them has to make it. Let me be clear, not Bo, obviously, we're not stacking, but one of them makes optimal 37% of the time. That is only 3 of every 8 uses, and we are over leveraged tremendously, guys. Not a good look. 9.25% leverage. That means we are over owned on this fight as a whole by 9%. It makes optimal lineup 9% less than the 37.5% ownership. $8,800 for Whittaker. Average ownership on that salary is 25.68. We are over leveraged by 3.8%. We do not want that. The orthodox stance going against a southpaw this week. Orthodox wins over southpaws just 45.29%, a very low win rate there. $8,800 has a finish win percentage of 25%. and a decision win rate of 43.75%. So it has a pretty decent win rate. Tons of decision wins over finishes, but 1 out of 4 finishes, not bad. Vettori, 7,400, southpaw stance. Southpaw beats orthodox 52.47% of the time. Finish win rate of 10.94. Decision win rate of 18.75. So very low numbers there for the $7,400 salary, which has an average ownership of 21.08. And again, we are over leveraged, and even more than the $8,800 salary. We are over by 5.5%, and we're only at 21% ownership, guys. This salary is terrible. 8,800, both salaries actually have been used 64 times. 8,800 has made optimal just 14 times for a 21.88% optimal rate. That is much, much worse than what we just saw from 7,800, which was 33%, almost 34. 21.88% optimal is garbage, especially for such a high salary. Has a win rate of 68.75, which sounds good, but I assure you it is low, especially for this salary range. And when it does win, only making optimal 31.82% of the time, a very low number. Scores just 90.7 points per win. Not a good look for the $8,800 salary. Meanwhile, $7,400, 10 times it's made optimal out of 64 for a very low 15.63% optimal rate. My goodness, this is why we're over leveraged by 5.5%. 15.6% optimal. Less than 30% win rate, which is decent for this range, but not great. On 52.63% of the time it wins, it makes optimal. So that is a decent number. 92.56 when it wins, guys. The only good number out of this entire fight is the fight position. Fight number 11 and the co-main event, we are at about 57% optimal between those two. That is the only good statistic I see out of this one, Top Knot. I do think this one goes to decision. I do think it's a low scoring event, and this just backs me up. What do we got here? I think you can guess. Do we have a Bernie? Do we have is this fight cursed? We've got ourselves a Frozen Jack. Frozen Jack is the opposite of Bernie. You do not want to see a Frozen Jack. That means you've got a cursed fight. You've got a hexed fight. The salary voodoo is bad for this one. The 16th highest salary score for Robert Whittaker at 8,800, 9.17. And an even a much worse position for the $7,400 salary, 11.67 salary score, 25th highest out of 30. It's the 6th worst salary score you can play. Both of these scores are under the average. This is a Frozen Jack for a reason. I think this one goes to decision. Low scoring. I don't care who wins. I will not be targeting this fight in a lot of... I will be under the field, I should say, in GPP tournaments to this one. Before we get into the main event, guys, hit that like, hit that subscribe on the MMA Engine. Helps us out a ton. Takes a second, and we really do appreciate it. So thank you for doing that. Last fight of the Salary Voodoo card before we get out of here is going to be the main event picked by Tommy Touchy. Thank you, Tommy. Sorry I couldn't get to all of your guys' fights this week. You guys commented a ton of fights, and I picked, I picked these 3. That's just how it is. I'll be sure to switch it up. Don't lose faith. Keep commenting down below. I'll pick your fight next week. I'm sure I will. 9,500 and 6,700. Gane, Tuivasa. This is obviously a heavyweight fight. Someone from heavyweight makes optimal 52.31% of the time. The 12th fight of the night, only 48.89% optimal, but the main event of the evening, guys. Main event fights make optimal 5 out of 8. I think that's 5 out of 8. 62.5% of the time, making this some good juju overall for the fight position. And the salary pair of 95 and 67. One side is doing all the work. I'm sure you can guess which one that is, especially if you've looked ahead. But salary pair has ownership 53.57% ownership, and it is still negative leverage. We are 2.5% under owned on the $9,500, $6,700 fight. So that does bode well. Average ownership for the $9,500 fighter, 41.02%. Guys, that is a ton. You're like 41% ownership. That's huge. We're 9% under leveraged. It makes optimal 9% more than its ownership. So we are under leveraged to the $9,500 salary. Orthodox Southpaw matchup again, 45.29% win rate for 9,500 this week. Finish win percent for 9,500, 50% of all fights at 9,500 are finish wins for 9,500. Decision win 40, just under 40%. Guys, we're almost at a 90% win rate here. 6,700 is the complete opposite. Southpaw versus Orthodox, great matchup, 52.47. It goes downhill from there. Finish win percent, 0. Decision win percent, 3.57. Average ownership on 6,700 is just 10%. That's it, 10%. And guess what? We are 6.5% over leveraged to this position, guys. Get $6,700 out of your lineups. These salaries have been used 28 times. 9,500 has made it 14 of those 28 times, guys, for an even 50% optimal rate. Incredible. 50% optimal. Half the time it steps into the cage, it goes to the optimal lineup. 89.29% win rate, as I alluded to a minute ago. When 9,500 does win, guys, it makes optimal 56% of the time. Average DraftKings points per win is by far the highest number we've seen on this video, 111.36. These are absolutely incredible numbers from a salary. In fact, this is, we'll get into it in a minute. This is the best salary to play overall. 6,700, again, only made the optimal lineup one time, and that's when, let's see, Dean Barry dick kicked and eye poked Mike Jackson onto the optimal lineup. That is how $6,700 made optimal. 3.57% optimal rate, has a win rate of just 7.14%. 2 wins out of 28 tries. The other win that wasn't the DQ victory was Grutzmacher against Rafa Garcia about a year ago, I believe. But he did not make, yeah, he did make, did he make optimal? I don't know at this point. I can't remember. Either way, only 2 wins out of 28 tries, 7% win rate. When it does win, it's made optimal in 50% of those wins, 1 out of 2, and its average points per win is just 91.38, 20 less than the $9,500 counterpart. Guys, like I said, one side of this fight is doing all of the heavy lifting. It's clear which side that is. Is it enough? Is it gonna be enough to give me a Bernie, or are we gonna see a Jack for Tommy Touchy's fight? It's gonna be enough to get the Bernie, guys. I mean, look at these stats. We'll just go back. 52%, 62% in the main, 53%. We have negative salary pair leverage. We have 9% negative leverage on Cyril Gane. We've got a 90% win rate, 111 per win. Guys, you gotta target this one. And by this one, I mean this fight. And by this fight, I mean Cyril Gane. 4.91 salary score. That is the best overall. So it is the second most expensive, most of the time the most expensive salary you can play. It is worth it in this case, guys. First overall salary score, and $6,700, 44. That's its salary score, 44. 30th best, which means worst overall, worst salary you can play. 1 sighting on the optimal, 2 wins out of 28 times. Guys, I'm going to be super heavy on Gane and under the field on Tuivasa. That 10% ownership from Tuivasa, or for 6,700, I feel like that's going to be about 20% because of who the name is, and I'm going to get a ton of leverage. If he loses this fight, Tuivasa, my 5% is going to be fantastic. So that's how I'm playing this one. I'm going big on Salary Voodoo here. Let's do a quick recap before we get out of here for UFC Paris. First fight, Charles Jourdain going against Nathaniel Wood. We got ourselves a Bernie right there. A good fight to target. Next one, the co-main event between Robert Whittaker and Marvin Vettori. We've got a frozen jack, guys. This one is cursed Salary Voodoo. I would avoid this one. I think it goes to decision. I think the winner scores 80 points. I do not think someone makes the optimal there, so we are avoiding the co-main event. But then we rebound with the main event, $9,500 Cyril Gane, $6,700 Tai Tuivasa. We got ourselves a Bernie on that one, and it ain't for the Tuivasa side. This is strictly a Cyril Gane $9,500 play. So there you have it, guys. That is the UFC Vegas recap. We are gonna get out of here. I've taken about 20 minutes of your time. Thank you so much for checking out Salary Voodoo. Be sure to subscribe to MMA Engine and check out all of the other stuff my colleagues and cohorts are posting daily to help you get that edge when it comes to DraftKings, when it comes to wagering, or when it comes to one-upping your friends when you're making picks. So be sure to check that out. Click the link down below and get my game theory video over on my Monkmatician channel, which you should also like and subscribe subscribe to. I broke down all 12 fights from a DraftKings perspective on the UFC Paris card. That is live right now. Pair that with this and a little bit of fight tape, and you will know exactly how to play your DraftKings players this week, guys. That is going to do it. I want to thank you so much for joining me, for hitting that like, for hitting the subscribe. And now I hope that you have a great rest of your Tuesday and rest of your week. Early card on Friday, 11 or Saturday, 11 a.m. So be sure to have your lineups in early, guys. That is going to do it. As usual, I want all of you to enjoy the fight. So enjoy, and we will see you next time.